What an utterly dreary evening we have today. I believe, if I remember correctly, we were on our way to continuing to try and find some wild wolves in an attempt to get more of the fangs. We have a jumping spider. Hello, little friend. Unfortunately, our adventures were not proving particularly fruitful. That being said, we must remain optimistic. For if we don't, well then, unfortunately, we'll start to lose hope. Let us see. I do not believe that we will find them within these types of forests. However, I do see something that I wish to acquire. My, some rather interesting items. Nothing particularly useful, though. Wondrous gold. Useful for so many different things. It might be worth also grabbing up some magma blocks. I can use these for a variety of different contraptions. Now, if only we could find that forest that we are looking for, then perhaps we could continue to start making progress. That being said, perhaps we are focusing far too heavily on biomancy. Perhaps we should pursue other objectives. Whilst biomancy will certainly provide boons to us, it isn't the only thing that we have at our disposal. We could create spells and various different spell equipment, and further our power with the scrolls. Or perhaps we could continue to hunt for that oh-so-elusive osmium, and attempt to create the devices from the old world that could help us here in the new. I must get tunnel vision. If horrors are on their way, threatening us, then we need every single boon that we can get, no matter how minuscule it may seem. Let's see here. Stow away even more of our little goodies. And most importantly, grab us a waystone. Marvelous. Utterly marvelous. That leaves us with 2 waystones that we can use. One in an emergency, and one perhaps to finally found ourselves a new outpost. That being said, the current one is still in a bit of disarray. Well then, let us see what we can find in this new part of the world. Anything else around here that is of use? Does not appear to be. We should start looking for a good location for a new outpost. Perhaps even a research center rather than a dedicated outpost. That being said, what exactly it is that we would research, I'm not entirely certain. Regardless, though, we should continue moving forward, ever making further and further progress. Never stopping in our pursuit. Well, that was rather unexpected. What did we get? An Enderman. Allows us to teleport, and it loves obsidian nuggets. Unfortunately, so too does the nether portal. So I'm afraid you and I most likely will not be very well acquainted with one another. I do apologize. Without further ado, let us continue on farther. Farther and forward. Yet another one of these strange houses. I do wonder who lived here before we arrived. What type of people lived here? What type of world was this before everything seemingly went down? Was it a peaceful place, or a place filled with turmoil? I'm afraid we may never know. Needless to say, these locations don't appear to be particularly useful to us. Don't appear to possess any resources that are vital to our survival and progression. Perhaps it's time that we start going underground. Much of our progress is currently limited by the fact that we do not possess vast quantities of osmium and redstone, both of which are necessary for the projects that I have in mind. Perhaps we should spend the day mining, rather than anything else. Yet another one of the spiders. You adorable little things. Unfortunately, I do not know how to make you my friend. A rather unfortunate detail. What interesting looking flowers. Lily of the Valley, so they are called. Endless ocean for as far as the eye can see. with the exception of the island there. This all seems very familiar. Have we been here before? I guess we'll know if we go to this tower and find there is no gold. This coastline seems very familiar. We do appear to have been here at one point or another. Perhaps this is the coastline that I think it is, and perhaps we are far closer to our outpost than I originally thought. Do I have a boat? I do not appear to have a boat. Unfortunate. Unless perhaps it's in this back. Not entirely certain behind the logistics of storing an entire boat within a singular backpack, but I'm going to choose not to question it. We do appear to have been here at one point or another. Then I guess we shall sail out into the sea. Or I guess less so sail and more so swim out into the middle of the sea. Perhaps try and find new lands. Perhaps it's simply just the area that we're currently inhabiting that is barren of all osmium, as well as apparently wolves. At this point in time, anything is a possibility. I believe that for now we're going to forego grabbing iron, or gathering iron. I believe that we have sufficient resources enough as it is already. And I do not believe that we need more. Yet another instance of this world seemingly to be broken. Sheer cliff faces leading down to a river, or I guess just a small section of the ocean leading to what appears to be an ancient plains. This cannot be natural. And if it is natural, then this is perhaps one of the most bizarre worlds I've ever seen. What a quaint little building. If I'm not mistaken, there should be villagers here. And indeed, it does sound as though there are. Ah, how lovely. I truly do wish that I could take these weapons, but unfortunately my own rules forbid it. Hello, villagers. May I inquire as to what exactly it is that you're doing in here? Ah, hello. One must never turn down some delectable goodies such as those. Even more. How wonderful. How utterly superb. Yes, I'm sure you were expecting me to say the other one, but I must keep you on your toes. The same repetitive thing can get rather old at times. Thus, a bit of spice never hurts. Hmm. How interesting. We appear to have some abandoned structures over here. What's all this, then? What have we chanced upon here? An old ruined building made of old brick, with a few small surprises left inside. Which appears to be sitting next to a rather unusual location. The structure fully rotting away. I wonder, do I have the requisite resources? I believe I do. Let us make a little something. If memory serves me correctly, it appears as though it doesn't. Well, that's not what we want. There we go. That is what we were looking for. Ah, as I suspected. Unfortunately, that is also what I had expected. I wonder, is there anything below? Does not appear to be. Rather unfortunate. That being said, digging this up certainly proves to be useful. One can never have too many sticks. Unfortunately, the original idea I had just had was a bit of a bust. Unfortunate, but not unavoidable. Perhaps if we find another archaeology site, we can use our newfound tool to perhaps find some rather interesting resources that could prove to be incredibly valuable to us. Yet again, the world is broken here. Utterly bizarre. It's almost as if something had tunneled its way through the ground itself. I must confess, in all of the worlds that I have explored, I have never once seen phenomena such as this. This is new, and if I am being entirely frank, rather unnerving. It once again leads to the very same question I posited a while ago. What event could have caused such extreme changes to the geography of this world? Is it wholly natural, or something that we should be worried about? Only time will tell. Perhaps at some point we should go and actively investigate below and see what is underneath. But for now, I do believe that there is far too much to do above the surface. After all, if we were to go underground, we wouldn't be able to see such marvelous flowers. We wouldn't be able to get just a little bit more meat for us to continue our own survival. Ah, this appears to be a village. There is an old theory I've heard of, and I wish to test it and find out if this theory holds any weight or not. But first, we should likely investigate this place and see if there is anything useful for us here. Whilst it could be seen as a form of theft, I prefer not to think of it that way. And it appears as though the villagers appear to... it appears as though the villagers would agree with that statement, as they don't seem particularly perturbed by my activities. Mermid. Apparently they've christened this location Mermid. What a quaint little place. Quiet and reserved, with not much activity to be seen. A little farming village. Unfortunately, this village appears to be too small for me to test the theory I had. We would need to find a location with a well. They appear to have a central market over a well. Unfortunate, but this is how things are sometimes. How utterly gorgeous. I'm not sure that this is a location that is incredible. I'm not sure that this is a location that I wish to make an outpost on, but I must say it is rather appealing to the eye. It would appear as though these villages are also being harassed by the menace of all villages, the pillagers. As benign of a name as that is. Perhaps we can assist them by removing these unsavory individuals. That is assuming that there are any left. This tower perhaps abandoned by them. It does appear to be. Oh, I hear one. It isn't entirely abandoned. That said, I don't know where he is. Where are you, my unfriendly fellow? Ah, there you are. That being said, it once again appears to be all that is there. What an utterly bizarre looking castle. And then there was this structure here. A Sheba. How interesting. I wonder, am I capable of taming you? And if I can tame you, do you provide any boons and bonuses? Ah, I can tame the Sheba. I now possess 2 Sheba. Will you prove to be useful? Only time will tell. But at the very least, welcome to the family. Unfortunately, the dog barks were not what I was hoping for. Perhaps, though, we can gain what we desire from the Sheba. It would appear as though that is not the case. And now I truly feel horrible for having killed the Sheba for seemingly no purpose or reason. Perhaps they aren't aggressive. If that is the case, then I suppose they would have no need for fang, nor claw. Ah, despite the dangers that this castle poses, it is within the forest that we desire the most. The forest that has wolves within it. We will have to approach, but we should do so cautiously. Is that an otter? It is an otter. Utterly adorable. Guns and roses. It certainly is a palace covered in roses that would require the use of guns to navigate. It is a rather inhospitable location, especially to our kind, normal people and folk. What is that structure? Utterly bizarre looking. Well, at the very least, we got another claw, but unfortunately, that isn't what we need. We require fang. Yet another claw. What an utterly bizarre structure. Truly bizarre. I do not quite understand the purpose of this structure. It appears to be made of deep slate. Some redstone. Such a resource is never a bad thing to have. Cartography table. Oh, you. A repeater. How interesting. A diamond. And ward armor trim. I believe that the mere existence of this place simply only adds more questions rather than answers. Rather unfortunate, if I do say so myself. Good old Shebas. Ah, yet another wolf. Please, give me your fang. You did not give anything. I do not wish to continue killing these creatures, but unfortunately I believe it's the only possible way to get the fang. That being said, the research notes are incomplete. Perhaps there are other creatures, such as maybe spiders, that could give them. Unfortunately, I do not know. What's worse is that I have to hunt wild wolves, which makes this all the more taxing. What an utterly bizarre tree. I don't think I've ever seen a tree that tall. Oh, hello. We got a pig. Bonus hunger saturation, can eat poisoned foods and gives you pork chops. I'm not entirely certain how I can get the pig to provide. Where did you even come from? Where are you coming from, and why are you hunting? That is rather bizarre. And slightly unnerving. Fortunately, the only thing that we can do is continue to move forward. Ever forward, ever onward. In an attempt to continue to make more progress. In an attempt to prevent the inevitable end. Yet another one of these instances of sheer rock faces that seemingly make no sense. Almost as if somebody had cut the world out. I must admit that these phenomena make me rather uneasy about this world. If it happened once, what is to say that it cannot happen again? An Enderman? Ah, bombs on legs. Lovely. Well, that wasn't exactly the paint the town. Not entirely sure what's happening. The dogs are not continuing forward. Something has perturbed the dogs. I'm not exactly certain what. This is rather unusual. Are you perhaps upset by the Enderman? Where did it even go? What are you so upset about? I do not understand this at all. Unfortunately, this cave appears to have yielded nothing for us. This too appears to be a dead end. Rather unfortunate. And unfortunately, it would appear as though even all the way out here, osmium is a rather rare resource. I do not know if the Shibas will come to me. It does not appear that they will. Well then. He's one of the Shibas now. Why are you so angry? I do not understand. Perhaps I'll need to scour over the research notes when we decide to take our rest, as that is rather unusual behavior, at least as far as I'm concerned when it comes to dogs. Then again, I suppose the Shiba is most likely a different breed of a dog compared to the wolves that we normally tame. So perhaps this is simply just a quirk of the breed of this specific type of dog. I'm not entirely certain. What I am certain of, though, is that I would love to be able to find a location where we're capable of actually mining. Being able to try and attempt to find Osmia would be an incredible boon to us. Well, the sheep is teleport here. Ah, lovely. Not entirely certain how you dogs are capable of teleportation, but I'm not going to question it. We'll simply just once again chalk it up to a quirk of the breed. Unfortunately, this day hasn't been particularly fruitful. We have accomplished almost nothing, and whilst we have certainly explored the world around us, that unfortunately does not help us with our own survival. Fortunately, it appears as though we've simply just gone around in a circle. Hold up, what was that I just saw out there? Shivers, wait here for a moment. I swear, I just saw something inexplicable. It was right around here. It almost looked like a boat. What was that? Speaking of boat, that... It does appear to be a sunken ship. This could prove useful to us. Depending what's on board, of course. Some more templates. Those can never go amiss. You're about to become a problem, I have a feeling. What is that right there? It disappeared. The moment I sunk beneath the waves, it disappeared. What is occurring here? This is not a natural phenomena. Perhaps one of the entities of the former world have managed to breach into this one. That being said, if it is, I'm not sure which entity it is. It doesn't appear to be similar to any of the ones we encountered previously. And whilst certainly bizarre, I wouldn't say that it's a danger, at least as of this moment. Let us see the spoils. I see. Rather unfortunate. What's this then? A random helmet. That could have been from the zombie that we killed earlier, though. Let us see what is in here, as this appears to be a lush cave. It does appear to be rather lush, I will say that. Rather interesting find, but not something that is of particular importance to us, unfortunately. Found lead once more. More coal. It would be nice if we could get up to the surface, or onto solid ground, rather. Marvelous. Now it would be even better as if there were some wolves nearby, to attempt to harvest some fangs from them. These ferns are utterly bizarre. There appears to be a fishing boat off in the distance. It appears as though the villagers have decided to come even this far out just to find some food. Rather interesting. Not exactly the place that I would choose to fish, but who knows? Perhaps they know more about the local fishing scene than I do. Let us see what we have this time. It appears to be a blaze. How utterly fascinating. Strength boost and fire damage on attacks, and it likes to eat nether quartz. Now that is interesting. Then I suppose we shall keep nether quartz on our person. Now then, let us continue. I do hear skeletons. Hello, my friend. Tell me, do you have anything of value to us? Oh my. That is quite valuable. Would you mind waiting here for just a moment? We do possess enough emeralds, and we do possess enough diamonds. I do believe that we are going to make one very bountiful purchase. My friend, please return. Rune-forged greaves. We now possess them, and I would say that that is an incredibly valuable item to us. When we get into the magic that is gem fitting, we may be able to make that even more powerful. Furthermore, when we enhance it to the tier of netherite, it will prove to be once more even more powerful. I do believe that that is a very, very wise investment. Yet another one of the forests that we are looking for. Perhaps we'll find even more wolves here. And perhaps, just perhaps, if we do, we can get the fangs that we oh so desperately need. Tin, not particularly useful to us. We still require osmium. Ah, hello. What a pleasant little surprise. Oh my, what a very pleasant surprise indeed. Quite bountiful indeed. I certainly will not be complaining about that. Ah, and even more food. How utterly wonderful. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing any wolves in the nearby area. This is indeed one of those rare moments where I could use that all-seeing eye, our clairvoyance, more often. But unfortunately, that spell is incredibly taxing, and I can only use it a limited number of times. Whilst it would certainly be useful to fast-track our progress and perhaps getting fangs, I'm not sure that such a situation is worthy of one of our oh-so-precious usages of these spells. Ah, our blaze friend is far more useful than I had originally imagined, as we're capable of getting cooked food rather than raw. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised by that. Magical enchantments are typically incredibly potent, and ones that light things on fire are capable of producing cooked food rather than its raw variant. No, we need to stay in this area. This is the forest that we've been looking for, after all. That being said, we've yet to come across even just a single wolf. We do not wish to, but we may not have a choice. Ah, here we go. Yes, a fang. I believe that may have just been a second one. Yes, 2 fangs. Perfect. Utterly perfect. One of our little pets just ate something. Also a wolf pup, but unfortunately that does not help us. I believe that they need to be fully grown wolves. 3 fangs. Humans are apparently capable of being harmed by berries. Bit of an interesting thing to be harmed by, but I suppose I should not judge. Fortunately, this may be the extent of this area's wolf population. I do not want to say that it is so, but it is a possibility. I also don't know where that wolf pup went. Typically, wolf pups will follow an adult wolf. There's the wolf pup. What are you chasing? Is there perhaps another adult wolf in the area? No, it does not appear that there is. At the very least, you will be an adult wolf in not too long. That being said, I am once again feeling rather tired. We've journeyed an incredibly long distance, so I believe it may be time for us to take a bit of a break, especially while we wait for this young little pup to grow up, as horrid of an idea as that is. So for now, I think we will rest.